I woke up from my nap a little late in the morning. My house was awfully quiet as my wife Sharon was not home. She had gone to her mother's house for the day. And realizing I was at home with nothing much to do, I decided to fix myself something to eat before starting on my work assignment. I made myself a simple cheese sandwich and went to work. It was well into a few hours of my constant working when I heard a knock at the main door. Normally, when I was this busy, I would ignore every disturbance, knowing that my wife would take care of it since she was mostly free during the evenings. So I didn't pay the knocking any mind and continued my work. It took me another solid 5 minutes to remember that my wife wasn't home, so I was going to have to get the door myself. I walked out to my front porch only to see that there was no one at the front door. It was completely empty. Whoever it was, they must have been in a hurry, I murmured to myself. They left without even knocking a second time, and I had no idea who it was. I looked around for a minute, trying to see if there was anyone out there on the street or something. Nothing. There was no one around. Shaking my head in disappointment, I turned to go back into the house. Only my feet came to a sudden halt when I saw a particular thing sitting on the porch. It was a small box with an envelope tied to it. I don't remember ordering something. Did Sharon get something for herself? But normally she would have told me if there was a package due for delivery today. I picked up the package and brought it inside. Things got even weirder when I found no traces of names or dates or even stamps on the package. The whole thing was a mystery. I called Sharon to ask if she was expecting anything, but she wasn't available at the time, so I just decided to open the damn thing myself. I was getting curious. I opened the envelope first, and thank goodness I did just that, because considering the contents of the letter, I would have been even more stupefied if I had opened the box first. Inside that envelope were 2 airplane tickets and a card stating, "We would like to invite you and another guest of your choice to our spectacular event hosting our first feature live recording and a chance to win $10 million. Congratulations. You and the other guest were the first 4 out of 30,000 to win this opportunity of a lifetime. A gesture of goodwill, we are sending you a gift of $3,000. Enjoy, and we hope to see you on our show. Regards." Flabbergasted at the strange letter, I turned towards the box and moved to open it. It was as much curious as I was disbelieving the contents of that box. I did not think that anyone would just send $3,000 just in a way of a strange invitation. That sounded awfully ridiculous. So I opened the box and, lo and behold, there was another envelope inside. On opening that one, sure enough, I found the hefty sum of $3,000. So yeah, I was wrong. There could be someone as ridiculous as to send out a load of cash just as an invitation, and that someone had also included a business card in the envelope. I checked out the card but only found a number and a name, Harris, and nothing else. No business name, no email, and no address of any kind whatsoever. The card also had a date written on it, falling on a Monday, which was just next week. Later that night, when Sharon called, I immediately started discussing the strange happenings of the day with her, about the box I had received that day. My wife was adamant in her thinking that it was a show host, while I, on the other hand, was sure it was some kind of scam or prank or something. The thing was, we didn't know anyone who would pull such an expensive prank, and scammers usually didn't pay money up front, so I was stumped. We started researching it online about any TV shows that worked in a similar manner, or even some upcoming game shows and all, but we didn't find anything. So by that point, all I knew was that the money was definitely real, because my wife went in hard on shopping, and so far no one had questioned the legitimacy of the currency, so I counted that as a win. As the date written on the card started closing in, we thought long and hard about how to go about the whole thing. Ultimately, both my wife and I decided that we were not going to pass up on this opportunity. If there was a cash prize of $10 million on the line, hell yeah, we were in. And even if there wasn't, what wrong could it really bring us? We were smart enough not to fall into any traps or scams. And besides, we had already gotten $3,000 out of it anyway. Our decision made, there was only the question of, how do we tell the hosts of the show? We tried calling the number on the card, but no one picked up. It went to an answering machine instead. So we left a message on it letting whoever it was behind it know that we accept the invitation and we're willing to participate in their event. After that, we just waited for them to call us back. And waited some more. And no answer came. Almost the whole week had passed since the arrival of the invitation at our doorstep. And now it was the weekend. No one had called us back or told us what to do next, or where we needed to go, anything like that. It was almost like whoever it was had just forgotten about us after inviting us. Or maybe it really was just a scam. Our waiting and guessing came to an end on Sunday evening when we had almost given up any hope for the call back and had accepted that the whole thing was just some shtick someone pulled for laughs. We were lounging around, just thinking of starting dinner preparations when we received a phone call. It was from the number on the business card. I picked up the phone and put it on speaker mode so Sharon could also listen in on the conversation. Hello? I started a little hesitantly. Hey there, this is Harris speaking, the host for the game show we're recording. I hope I didn't interrupt anything important, but I would like to thank you both for agreeing to participate in our show. You will have a driver pick you up tomorrow afternoon and bring you to the airport. We will also make arrangements to pick you up from the airport and bring you to your destination. I hope to see you there. It's going to be amazing. Bye for now. And the call cut off. We didn't even get a chance to talk, to ask anything about the supposed show or the type of games we'd be participating in, or even just the fact of where the hell it would be happening. The whole response almost came off as a recording, but maybe that's just what our world of technology got us now. They might have just made an automated response and recorded it so they didn't have to repeat all of it individually to every participant again and again. It also didn't give anyone any time for cross-questioning. The time of questioning had already passed, though. We'd already agreed to participate. Now we were just hoping it was something we could win at. We got a few days off from our respective workplaces, not knowing how long it was going to go on, and got ready for the trip to come tomorrow. That Monday afternoon, we were picked up in a Rolls-Royce right in front of our doorstep, and I knew I wasn't dreaming when upon entering, I saw wine and other snacks and nibbles stored in the back of the Rolls-Royce. The whole thing looked to be right out of a luxury catalog, and we were loving it. We took full advantage of all the refreshments provided to us and enjoyed our ride to the airport. The same thing happened there, too. We were traveling business class, and it was the most luxurious, expensive trip of our life. The seats, the drinks, the food, the service, everything was beyond amazing. When we landed, another luxury car was waiting for us, and all with great amenities. This time, though, our enthusiasm was a little subdued, overpowered by the sudden nerves that had started appearing as the reality of what we were about to do started to sink in. We were in another city, in a stranger's car, heading to an unknown location to participate in a nameless game show, all at the call of a mysterious man. It was mind-boggling if I thought about it too much. We finally pulled up to an old vintage mansion. Calling it a huge castle would actually be a better way of wording it. As we emerged from our vehicle, we spotted 2 film crew vans parked on the side of the house. Before entering the building itself, we were introduced to a tall, thin butler who decidedly had a very creepy look on his face.
Welcome to our Creek Manor. I hope your travels were comfortable.
He started, bowing a little. I walked over to him and shook his hand while my wife left us there and immediately busied herself touring the mansion without me. I knew how fascinated she was with vintage stuff, so I can understand how absorbed in her surroundings she must have been feeling. So I let her discover the place on her own and instead focused on the butler. I had some answers to find. Yes, it was fine, but I'd like to ask you some questions about this mysterious game show that we're here for. Like, what kind of show are we talking about exactly? And who even runs this place? I asked curiously.
Sir, if you'll excuse me, I do not have to answer your question. I am simply here to receive you. Now, my employer is waiting for you inside. So please, let me escort you to your room, sir.
He replied, trying to give me a smile that he must have thought looked reassuring. It just made him look even creepier. So I just silently followed him into the mansion. As I was entering, out of the corner of my eye, I saw 3 men carrying a body bag and dumping it into a van. Another man saw me watching and quickly rushed to close the van door, obscuring my view.
Sorry, sir. Please come this way. Don't be alarmed. That's just one of the props for the show.
He hurried to assure me. I instead called out for Sharon to come by my side and entered the place together. We were then taken to our room as we kept marveling at the grandeur of the mansion. When we got to the room, we already had our dress attires hanging on the closet door, and I don't even want to know just exactly how they knew my measurements and my wife's dress size. We were told to get dressed and meet up in the dinner hall at 6 p.m. to go over the name of the game and all the rules and directions. There wasn't much time to spare, so we quickly got dressed and went to dinner. There was another couple there at the dinner table, Charlie and his girlfriend Lisa. They sat across from us and we were finally introduced to the host, Harris. He walked in with a very energetic humor. "Hey folks! I would like to thank you all for showing up for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be our first guests on the show," he exclaimed enthusiastically as soon as he came in and saw us. We answered his welcome and got to making small talk with the other couple. It wasn't much longer after he made his appearance that dinner was announced. A full kitchen of staff came out with almost every type of meal you could ever dream of, from steak to lobster and crab. It had everything. We were all given separate utensils and separate foods according to our preferences. I even saw different kinds of aged wines, some going back over 30 years. It was all so exquisite, but also, I couldn't even imagine the bill on this type of high-end dining in your local top seafood restaurant. Hundreds of thousands, maybe. But any thoughts of counting the bill quickly flew out of my head as everyone dug in. We were almost done with the food when the host stood up out of his chair and jumped on top of the table, yelling at the top of his lungs and pointing at us as a camera crew came out to film. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've got 4 new guests on our new episode. Let's get this show together, people!" As he was saying the words, I realized how tired and groggy I had suddenly become. It was as if I could just fall asleep right then and there. I looked around to see all the supposed contestants were in similar condition. Hardly any of us could keep our eyes open, and soon we were all passing in and out of consciousness as staff workers came out and dragged us off. We couldn't even put up a fight, and all soon succumbed to sleep. We all woke up in a small room with nothing in it, except 2 hammers hung up on the wall and a TV mounted on the corner. We were just catching our bearings and trying to make sense of our surroundings when suddenly the TV came on, and the host, Harris, was up there on the screen wearing a mask, addressing us. "Hello, folks! I would like to say that only 3 of you will be able to make it out of that room alive, so you all have 15 minutes to decide who will be deleted. Good luck!" he bellowed out. And all of us looked at each other as a loud clock came on the television and started ticking down the last minute. "Better hurry, folks! Decide before the poison gas gets released and you all die!" he shouted at last. and then it all went silent. Now we were all left there, looking at each other and wondering if it was real. And no matter how much we wanted to deny it, I knew it was real. There were cameras set up in the room, filming us from several angles, showing that we were indeed within a show. Some psychopath's private show. A survival show, to be exact, and all of us wanted to survive. With that in mind, the fight started. Charlie ran over and grabbed a hammer from the wall. He tried to hit me, but I ducked and kicked him into the wall instead. And soon we were in a full-blown fight. Sharon and Lisa were in a similar position, with Sharon on top of Lisa hitting her repeatedly. Then suddenly, the room turned red, and time was up. We could hear people in the background cheering. While I was distracted by the noise, Charlie ran over and hit me in the back just as a door opened. A large man in all black took Charlie out of the room as I laid on the ground trying to catch my breath after the painful strike. The rest of us were left there alone. We were all told that we would be taken to individual rounds of the game, and I was escorted out of the room by the tall man. It was risky, but I needed to do something to get out of here and make sense of things, and I knew this might be my best time to do so. The man was walking a few steps ahead of me, so I took advantage and hit him in the back of the neck, and then in the groin as he turned around. I repeatedly kicked him in the head, and he went down like a dead weight. Getting free from there, I started looking around and realized that we were all trapped inside the basement of the house. I turned around a corner and saw Charlie hanging over a large glass tank, skinned alive. The host, Harris, rose his thumb as a signal, and the other people in the glass window above us thumbed down. As Charlie was being lowered into the water, I could hear his screaming. Slowly, the water in the tank started to turn red. It was horrifying to look at, and just how horrifying would it be if you weren't the one looking, but the one being drowned in the water? I did not want to find out for myself. I snatched a camera from one of the workers who was filming everything and bashed him over the head with it. He went down as I ran for the next target. I lunged and tackled the man who was nearest the door. As I was struggling to put him down, I saw a man reach for his gun and fire at me. I rolled over just in the nick of time, the shot missing me narrowly. I kicked him in the legs and he came down after the sudden attack. He lost the grip on his gun as he was falling. I snatched the gun and hit him in the head with it. All three men around me were down now. I just needed to get Sharon and get out of there. I didn't even have time to think much about it, as I saw Sharon walking out of her room, holding her ribs as blood oozed out from between her fingers. She appeared badly wounded, making walking difficult for her. I ran over to her, trying to carry her out of the mansion, but just then all the doors and windows started to close, sealing us all in. Harris walked out, clapping his hands and laughing, while we were surrounded by armed men wearing all black, including masks. "I see that you can't follow the rules I gave you in the beginning, huh?" he started. "The game must finish, folks! Take them to the torture chamber!" He bellowed out, signaling his men and laughing maniacally. A man rushed over to me and started to rip off my clothes. He then proceeded to wrap a bag over my head and drag me off into another room. All the while I struggled and screamed for him to let me go. "No! You can't get away with this! Not gonna kill you all!"